Unsurprisingly, there are numerous Easter eggs and references to other Star Wars stories peppered throughout the Mandalorian 6th episode titled The Prisoner. And I'm here today to share with you the 10 most interesting ones this episode has to offer, with 10 tiny details you may have missed in The Mandalorian Chapter 6. The Mandalorian has always had a star-studded cast filled with fun cameos and guest appearances. This episode was no different and featured a myriad of guest stars and cameos. Berg, the Horned Man who provides the muscle for the job, is played by Clancy Brown, known for his portrayal of Captain Hadley from The Shawshank Redemption.
Drink up while it's cold, ladies.
While this is Clancy's first live-action appearance in Star Wars, his voice has brought to life a plethora of characters in the world before, in both canon and legends, including Montrose from the Star Wars Bounty Hunter video game series, Savage Opress, among other characters in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and Ryder Azadi in Star Wars Rebels. Of course, if none of that does sound familiar, you may know him as Mr. Krabs.
It's time for the grand unveiling of money!
Clancy Brown isn't the only voice of the Clone Wars to make a live-action debut. Davan, the New Republic officer on board the prison ship, is played by talented voice actor Matt Lantner, mostly known by Star Wars fans for his portrayal of Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars The Clone Wars.
Sandwich. Oh, right. Coffee. What? No!
If you're a fan of British television, you may recognize the voice of the droid Zero as that of Richard Ayoade, the actor behind the beloved nerd and IT consultant Maurice Moss from the IT Crowd.
What are you laughing at?
This flipping circuit board, Jen.
With Moss's love for technology, it's fun to see him finally get his dream of having a robot hand and body.
I'd have used my robot hand for good.
Ironic.
At the end of the episode, Rand Space Station is invaded by New Republic fighters. No doubt most fans already recognize the first pilot as none other than Dave Filoni himself. Dave Filoni is referenced in the credits as Trapper Wolf, which itself is another reference to Filoni's love of the pack-hunting canines. In fact, all three of the pilots are cameos from directors of the show. As we said, Trapper Wolf is played by Dave Filoni, director of episode 1 and 5. Jib Dodger is played by Rick Famuyiwa, director of this episode and episode 2. The third pilot, Sash Ketter, is played by Deborah Chow, the director of chapter 3, as well as next week's entry, chapter 7. We've now seen cameos from 4 of the 5 directors of The Mandalorian, along with a cameo from series writer and creator Jon Favreau. And this has led us to wonder, did we miss Bryce Dallas Howard's cameo? Is it yet to come? Does she not get a cameo, or did you see something we missed? Also, this is a question more than a fact, but is this Keegan Michael Key of the Key and Peele fame or not?
But ideally though, man, what I'm talking about is like me and you.
You cheated.
Yeah, even if I did. You sure the old boss of Sith intelligence wants to admit some shifty alien got the better of her?
The muscle of the group, Berg, comes from an alien species known as Deveronians. Even though these Hellboy creatures have been around since A New Hope and were actually inspired by the fact that they'd run out of costumes to fill up the cantina scene on Tatooine and were forced to use some Halloween costumes. So basically, Deveronians equal devil. The species is most popular for being the species of Sicatro Vizago from Star Wars Rebels, and Galt Renault from Star Wars The Old Republic. Unlike Vizago and Galt, Berg begins the episode with 2 fully intact horns. However, we see at the end of the episode that his confrontation with our hero has left both horns broken into stubs. Deveronian horns were esteemed with great pride in their culture, and this detail exemplifies the total humiliation of the group's defeat at the hand of the Mandalorian.
So what does this mean for Vizago?
It means you help me, and you'll have a Jedi owing you a favor.
Be ready for a quick pickup.
I've got a feeling that things are about to get pretty nasty around here.
When the Mandalorian joins the group of hunters, Xion references her mission with the Mando on Ulzok 3. This is a reference to the planet of the same name, which I first experienced as the location for the demo in Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast, and was a huge amount of fun introducing you to the planet. But it was also a location in many of the other Star Wars games and expanded universe novels. Pre The Mandalorian, it actually was brought into canon in the novel Last Shot. This chapter's the first on-screen mention of the planet and is a fun nod to show appreciation to the fans of the EU.
If we get out of this alive, remind me never to do that again.
There's no sign of Cham.
Find him.
Better hurry.
We are not going anywhere.
In the middle of the episode, the team must face off against a battalion of security droids, and our protagonist sneaks around the back to take on the droids single-handed. During the fight, Xion prepares to throw a knife and moves to enter the fight, but she is stopped by Mayfield. On a first viewing, it appears Xion is going to use the knives against the droids to help the Mandalorian. However, upon a second viewing, it becomes apparent that Xion is not targeting the droids, but instead our Mandalorian hero. Mayfield likely stops her, knowing that she will be unsuccessful against the Mandalorian, even when he is distracted, and she should wait until the opportune moment. Or maybe he just wants to see the Mandalorian go to work, which he does.
Jack, not yet. We wait for the opportune moment.
Put Captain Solo in the cargo hold.
When Zero discovers the child, he immediately reaches for a blaster in attempts to apprehend the child, clued in by Grief's holomessage. The blaster Zero grabs is none other than an EE-3 blaster carbine. This is just another entry in the long list of loving Boba Fett references, as this is the same model of blaster used by the infamous bounty hunter.
What if he doesn't survive? He's worth a lot to me.
The Empire will compensate you if he dies. Put him in!
What a piece of junk!
She'll make 0.5 past light speed. She may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts, kid.
When the group is preparing for the job, Mayfield comments the Razor Crest looks like a CANTO BIGHT slot machine, a reference to the new and somewhat controversial planet seen in The Last Jedi. Later in the episode, Zero comments that it's a wonder the Imperials haven't impounded the Razor Crest. All of these comments harken back to Luke and Rey's first comments about the Millennium Falcon.
The garbage will do!
I killed them. I killed them all.
When dragging Quinn onto his ship, the TWI'LEK asks Mando if he killed the others, and the Mandalorian responds, they got what they deserved. We find out at the end of the episode the Mandalorian did not kill them, but locked them together in a cell on the New Republic's prison ship. The only member of the team killed by the Mandalorian is Zero. Since the Mandalorian said that he only gave them what they deserved, this is just another tiny detail to remind us that the Mandalorian believes all droids deserve death.
They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them.
The prison ship was primarily run by droids, and we see 3 different droids operating the prison. First, the return of the mouse droid, along with the New Republic security droids, the combat units seen fighting against the crew. The droids floating through the halls appear to be a hovering variant of the R1 series astromech, the less emotive predecessor of the beloved R2 series. While there are some visual differences between these sentries and the R1 unit seen in A New Hope and Phantom Menace, this seems to be the first appearance of a functioning R1 series droid in canon.
We don't need to see his identification.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
He can go about his business.
Hey, Yoda! They wanna wonder.
My.
Xion and Quinn, the brother-sister TWI'LEK duo, both sport a pair of unnerving fangs. This little detail follows in the continuity of Bib Fortuna, the sharp-toothed TWI'LEK serve in Jabba the Hutt in Return of the Jedi. While TWI'LEKs are naturally born with blunt, herbivorous teeth, many males in Ryloth culture would file their teeth into sharp points as a sign of aggression and to more closely resemble carnivorous predators. TWI'LEKs are a naturally vulnerable species because their head tails contain vital organs unprotected by bone. One strike to the head could easily lead to their death, meaning that TWI'LEKs who engage in combat are always at higher risk of fatal injury. TWI'LEKs who sharpen their teeth do this to partially compensate for their perceived weakness and frailty in combat. While the act of sharpening teeth is uncommon with TWI'LEK females, we can see from this detail that these TWI'LEK siblings decided to modify their canine teeth in order to appear more intimidating and invest themselves fully in the predatory lifestyle.
I must speak with Jabba.
And I'm really excited because I know what's to come, and I know all that's in store, and you know, it's great to be on the inside of this thing as a huge Star Wars fan.
This is the second episode directed by Rick Famuyiwa and had a drastically different tone than episodes in the past. While previous episodes drew on westerns and samurai films for inspiration, this episode felt more like a heist movie. The episode featured a team of specialists who must use their unique skills to break into the facility and pull off a job. The next episode of The Mandalorian will be directed by Deborah Chow once again, and the final episode of Season 1 will be directed by none other than TAIKA Waititi, director of Thor Ragnarok and voices of IG-11 in The Mandalorian and Korg in the MCU. With only 2 more episodes left in Season 1, it will be interesting to see if the series remains a self-contained story or if there will be a larger tie-in to the greater Star Wars narrative. Only time will tell, but as always, I'm excited to see what comes next.
Mandalorian, look outside. They are waiting for you. Yeah? Good.